Don Lemon is back and he says he's bigger, bolder, freer. He was pretty free. Lemon announced this week that he's starting a new show that will stream exclusively first on X. So it's a podcast that's going to be first on X, I guess, which, Linda's been going around. I knew a lot about this because I talked to Don about it quite a bit. I had other suggestions for him. I suggested he do a deal with Ben Shapiro or do the Megyn Kelly route. I didn't think this was a good idea. So that's just full disclosure. And I told him so. And I said, get the money up front. I just don't think it's going to go well for you on this platform. But he did it. He's other things he's doing, but he also called X the biggest space for free speech in the world. I think it was also Tulsi Gabbard and sports commentator Jim Rome are doing video partnerships. Obviously, Tucker Carlson's been there, but then moved to his own subscription-based platform. Scott, what do you think? I said he shouldn't do it. I thought there were lots of other choices. And again, if I'm recommending Ben Shapiro, who I think is abhorrent in many ways, but he's quite a good media executive, that's the kind of outfit I thought he should have affiliated, to create a great media property.
I think you're right. So first off, I think Don is a real talent, and I think he's unafraid. He connects with people. He's really handsome, which I think is incredibly important in media. Not as important in podcasting, but if I were him, I would have just started with a podcast with a Vox or daily, whatever it's called, Daily Wire, and developed a following there, because X sort of creates a halo that, okay, congratulations, you're now on the same platform as Alex Jones, and the guy who runs it is just sort of reckless and strange. And this reminds me a little bit of when Yahoo did a big deal with Katie Couric.
Yes, I broke all those stories.
This is not what I would have done if I was Don. If I were Don, I would have figured out an outlet where I could still have a 30 or 60-minute show, because he has a face for television. And I do think him in TV is still, he would still do well, even if he had to go to a quote-unquote second-tier network. And he should have done a great podcast. To kind of announce this, it's not just Don Lemon and what the topic is going to talk about. It's Don Lemon and X. And X, in my view, is a bad umbrella brand. Mm-hmm. But on the whole, he's a big talent. And the thing I do like about this is that he is doing something. The key for all of these folks, and I've spoken to a lot of them recently as they're all trying to figure out their third or fourth act, is don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And that is just get on to the next thing and iterate. And most of them don't. Most of them.
Well, they're used to a different world because they're used to being coddled in the whole network system, right? In Katie's case, I actually did break that story. That's how I got to know Katie from that story. She got a ton of money up front, but then they buried her inside of Yahoo. Never was on the front page.
Well, she only got 1%.
She actually did some very good.
Compared for Tumblr, who is obviously arguably one of the worst CEOs in the history of tech. But
true. I think they paid Don a pile of money. I know they did.
X paid Don Lemon? Really?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, if that's the case, then I think economic security is important. If he's
he has a lot of money. He's still, he got, when they fired him, I think they had to pay out his contract. So I don't know. He could have had more money. I think, again, can't stand what Megyn Kelly's doing.
Oh,
but
she's very good at what she does.
I get it. Yes, that's what I mean. I'm like, I see what she's doing. And I talked to her before she did that. And the other thing I recommended to Don is, if you want to stay on television, go to a big market like Los Angeles and be the anchor for the top TV station and start to do interesting things.
Those guys will never go local after being national. They just couldn't do it.
I get it, but you could do some interesting things. That's a great kind of place because anyway, whatever. I don't think this was a good idea. But I guess if you got a pile of money.
X has the money to pay these kind of things. I would think X would be.
Yeah, I said get it up front, Don. Get like Bitcoin or something.
Yeah, and just be mindful. If you get fired, you might not get the severance or health care you were contractually obligated to.
Well, speaking of which, I was in San Francisco. There are going to be some lawsuits soon because he hasn't paid any of them. what he owes them from top to bottom,
it
the
goes back to-
ex-Twitter employees. And he's using specious like ideas of why, I forget what the one was. There was a couple different people told me different things they're accusing them of, so they don't
But
have
it
to
goes
pay
back
them.
to the same thing with this bullshit around, well, I'm a billionaire, so I can put a chill on all of media.
It's so abusive. It really is. But the video strategy that they have now ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino was at CES this week, getting asked why advertisers should put ads on X given the hateful content risk. She said that hate speech is an issue on every platform. Can they pivot to video? No. I said, YouTube, Reddit, Instagram and YouTube would like to have a word. Twitter, they're so behind. They blew all their chances early. They have TikTok. I'm sorry, I even left out TikTok. Their competitors are superb and good at what they do. They have no chance. I don't see how they have any chance. This is another, bullshit thing that they aren't going to, a lot of the Twitter Blue stuff is now falling off of Twitter Blue, all their promises. So I don't see them being able to pivot to this.
Well, sort of back in the day, one of my investors was Tim Armstrong, a really talented, nice man. And I don't know if it was him or his head of strategy said, what would you do if you were Yahoo? This is probably a decade ago. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, that's right.
I would be the world's largest TV network, and that your distribution platform is the internet. And a lot of word is out that video is big. And to your point, YouTube does a really good job. TikTok does a really good job. So TikTok, I'm not saying
Reddit.
Yeah, it might be the right strategy, but it feels a little bit late. It feels like they don't have the capital, the engineering talent.
I would say 8 years, and they were there already.
So
8
I don't.
years.
Yeah, it makes sense, but the notion that I just don't. If I were, we'll see. Look, Twitter X has to do something, right? They have to innovate. They have to do something. They have to experiment.
Is not gonna work.
It does feel late.
This is a media strategy by someone who doesn't know media, which would be Musk, and Linda Yaccarino, who came from NBC. So this is her move. And she was not in programming or editorial or anything. She knows how to, putting names like Tulsi Gabbard and Don Lemon out. She thinks she goes for the deal, the splashy deal at CES. That's not how it works anymore. It's people you don't know. It's interesting, like Mr. Beast or... It's just not this.
Well, it's people who are native. I will say I watched Tulsi on Fox. I think she's talented.
Good.
I was shocked at how good she was on air. I think she's good. If I would have done a deal, and maybe they just got bought. They just threw so much money at them. And if that's the case,
I think they did.
D Lemon, I take it back. Good for you.
No, it's not good. It's not good for him. He could have made Megyn Kelly is making bank, and she controls her destiny. I'm sorry. Again, I can't. You don't need it. It's. I was talking to someone about this, about my own career, and they're like, "Why don't you come with us full time?" I said, "You can't afford me. You don't understand. But you know what I mean? Like, I can do better by myself. Like, you don't. Things have changed, and I'm not even very big.
I mean, you stay at the nicest hotels in Manhattan. Oh wait, never mind. Never mind. You go through my closet and comment on my food.
Do you know what? I actually love it.
It's nice, isn't it? It actually, and I'm kidding. It makes me happy to know you're there. I like it.
I love people's homes. I stayed with Brooke Hammerling in Los Angeles. She has a beautiful home. I don't like hotels. I'm not a hotel liker.
Oh, I love hotels.
But I love it.
Call screen
I
people.
don't.
Where are my eggs?
No. I don't like it. I don't like it. I like your apartment quite a bit, and I don't know why. I have an affection for it. I really do, and it's not because it's not that fancy. It's just really lovely. It's the lovely feeling.
Thanks for
your
that.
apartment. Anyway, it's got a nice vibe. It's got a good vibe.
It's full of love, Cialis. It's full of love.
Last thing is this world of online video changing. Then where do you think it's going? I did interview Mark Thompson in an offsite for Warner Brothers. I don't know if it was off the record or not. I was never told it was, but it was a really interesting conversation. But he said, among other things, that conventional TV can no longer define us. Although he wasn't abandoning TV. That wasn't what he meant.
What does that mean? Conventional
that's
TV
what he started.
no
Well, I think I was trying to get more out of him about it, actually, because it was, I think he has to, they're trying to figure out how to move where and how to move their stuff and control it. A little like, he said it wasn't one thing. I'm going to just say what he said. He said it wasn't a shift and lift or lift and shift from what he did at the New York Times, which was move it over to digital while keeping the print thing going. Because he thought video, like TV distribution, linear, would be around for several decades. And I would agree with him. And it's already there, so why not take advantage of it? But that you have to sort of move everything, think of it as a digital product over time. And he said we have to own it and not be subject to other people's platforms. It was interesting. He's a smart man.
What strategy, if you were to define, maybe you didn't get this information, how Mark Thompson is going, what is the strategy or the shift in programming or distribution that we'll see under Mark Thompson that we weren't going to see under Chris Licht?
A subscription service. She didn't say it, but there's no other way. Like what they did at the New York Times, like some of it's free.
What? Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said. I said the problem with CNN Plus was directionally it was correct, but there was no CNN. It was like Hamburger Plus without hamburger, right? Like, I don't get it. Why don't you? But I think some of the stuff, I think he's right. Some news does lend itself to television.
Agreed.
Fast news, fast moving. But I think the dependence on the platforms like Twitter or YouTube or whatever, the monetization's not there. And I think the Times was doing that too, just the way everybody gave all their content to Netflix and regretted it, I think, in a lot of ways, and didn't own it themselves and take the cost of doing it. I think that's his inclination. I think he's correct, that it has to be a product that people want to buy. A news product that people want to buy from CNN, and some of it is free, some of it's not. I mean, they could look at Netflix is now very successfully doing advertising. Amazon is about to make its ad tier for default for its millions of Prime Video subscribers. So there's a lot of ad stuff in a different and interesting way. So they have some interesting opportunities, and he's very canny. So I don't know, what would you do if you were running CNN? Great brand globally.
I would try and elegantly integrate it into kind of the Max offering, and always have a CNN bug where you could click it and they did, they had 6, 10, 20-minute loops. Kind of becomes the ingredient news brand for the subscription service Max. I don't think it's a standalone subscription service. I think it's the ingredient, it's the NutraSuite of Max around news. And because when you think about it, the biggest players, whether it's Disney Plus or Netflix, what they lack is news. So it is, it's the aspartame, or I don't know what you want to call it. It's the Intel inside of Max is what I would try and build.
I'll tell you, the most interesting thing he said offhand, which was this idea of you wake up and you're like, I want to know more about that. I want it like an AI generate, that their news done by people is then applied, digitally and with AI, with generative AI, so that you start to get. They're exploring deals with OpenAI. That was just reported yesterday, and he didn't say as much, but obviously everyone's talking to them. But that you have some kind of relationship with your news. It's not because Google laid off all of a bunch of assistant people. So did. Cut hundreds of jobs to voice activity assistant software. This is all going to be AI generated. And he had some ideas around that, and I thought that was smart. So he's working it out, but it's definitely a transition. David Zaslav was there. He was wearing his David Zaslav outfit and everything. But it was interesting. I think
this is going to be a great year for CNN.
Anyway, yeah, I do too. Mark is very thoughtful. I really enjoy talking to him, and I can see he's working it out. I think he's working. It's not going to be unlike what happened at the New York Times, using this amazing brand and their huge amounts of reporters to really bring to bear. There's monetization there, and as opposed to like Linda doing these one-off deals, and it's just not an editorial product. Very similar to what happened at Yahoo.